Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Welcome back to the Ultimate Ramadan series. In this episode, we're going to talk about the thing that I get the most questions about during Ramadan, although it probably shouldn't be the most questions, is Ramadan in fitness. How do I keep my muscles during Ramadan? How do I lose weight during the month? The month ends up being less about spirituality and more about the physical things. Now, we're going to cover all the tips and tricks to help you keep your muscles, to possibly lose weight, to be healthy during the month, while not sacrificing any of the spiritual focuses. So one thing I want to emphasize at the outset is 1 month is not going to make or break your training. This is 1 month. The focus is spirituality. Whatever happens during this month, whether you lose some progress in the gym, you get a little bit off track, it's not going to make or break it. And the main focus in this month should be the spiritual aspect and less on the physical, but we can help out with the physical as well. So let's just jump right into that, maintaining muscle mass. A lot of people are so scared about losing muscle mass during Ramadan. They're like, fasting, I'm going to lose all my gains. The reality is you're going to not lose your gains during Ramadan. And if it is, it's going to be something minimal that'll be quickly reaccumulated right after the month. So the tricks and tips to maintain muscle mass are going to be sufficient protein intake, both at suhoor and iftar, and probably after tarawih. Sufficient caloric intake, sufficient training stimulus, and adequate sleep and recovery. And we'll go into each one of those topics. So when it comes to protein, just like outside Ramadan, protein is one of the most important factors when it comes to maintaining muscle. What you want to do is get adequate amounts of protein. And for most people, that's about 1.6 to 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight. So if you weigh 100 kilograms, you'll want about 220 grams of protein. Now, given that you're fasting all day, that might be a little bit more challenging. What I tend to advise people, especially those that are so obsessed with their muscle mass, is to get their protein into 3 different intervals. You want some of it at suhoor, some of it at iftar, probably a post-tarawih protein supplement. Now, the latest studies show that you can absorb a lot more protein per sitting than were previously known. A lot of the bodybuilding bros will tell you can only absorb like 30 or 40 grams per sitting. That's likely not true. You can absorb a lot more, but it's more beneficial to have your protein spread out throughout the day to stimulate that muscle protein synthesis. So I tell somebody if they need like 180 grams of protein, they would have to probably eat around 60 grams of protein at suhoor, 60 grams at iftar, and then 60 grams after tarawih to give them that 180 grams throughout the day. That can look like a meal, the protein shake, some Greek yogurt, some protein shake, a piece of meat, 2 pieces of meat, whatever it may be, and then another protein shake. But the target is to have sufficient protein. And in the Ultimate Ramadan Guide series, we have how you can split that apart throughout the day. The other thing when it comes to Ramadan, after you master your protein, is having sufficient caloric intake. So a lot of people, they worry about losing protein. I tell them if you don't want to end up losing much muscle mass, what you want to do is have around maintenance calorie intake. If you have sufficient calories like that at maintenance throughout the month, you're less likely to go into a caloric deficit, end up tapping into those muscle reserves and losing muscle. Additionally, when it comes to keeping muscle, probably after protein, debatable which one's more important, is sufficient training stimulus. If you continue to train throughout the month, you're going to tell the body to keep that muscle and send the signal to your muscles to stay intact. And we'll go into the best times to work out shortly here. After that, very important for keeping the muscle is sleep and recovery. If you're optimizing your sleep using all the tips we talked about in the sleep episode, that will help you recover well, get that nice natural growth hormone that comes out throughout the night. But I will emphasize is that you shouldn't be losing muscle mass during Ramadan in the first place. If you do lose some water weight, your muscles might look a little bit more flat because you are fasting throughout the day. Once you rehydrate after Eid, your muscles will become nice and plump. You load up some creatine, you should be good to go. On top of that, if you do happen to lose a little bit of muscle mass, once you have muscle growth, you have what's called muscle memory. The myonuclei in your muscle cells actually hypertrophy, and you can quickly go back to whatever levels you had before Ramadan. And what I've seen in a lot of people is that they will take Ramadan as more of like a deload, they'll work out a little bit less, and then they hit the ground running right after Eid and actually hitting PRs right after that because their body's so fresh, it's kind of recovered, any nagging injuries have healed, and they're ready to go full steam ahead after Ramadan. Now, the question people ask is, when do I work out in Ramadan? And the reality of the matter is that this is going to vary person to person. I've tried all these different time periods to figure out what works best. And here are some of the best examples that have worked for me. So for me, what I like to do, especially because I've nailed down the hydration at suhoor, I'm getting a very good suhoor that's full of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. I'm very adapted to fasting throughout the year. I like working out right after Asr Salah. So between Asr and Iftar, I like to go to the gym. I know the meal's coming. I know that I'm going to be able to hydrate at Iftar. So I'm able to go very hard during the workout, exert all my energy, and I feel a little bit better after Asr than I felt all day, as your body is getting deeper into ketosis. You're liberating more of that glycogen and you're gunning into your flow. I feel this is a very good time to get into your workout. Somebody who is accustomed to using pre-workout before their workout will struggle here, because you probably wouldn't have had a caffeine dose since suhoor. Even if you took a extended release caffeine, you'll find that you'll find that you're losing a lot of that caffeine when it comes to Asr time, but you should be adaptable enough to train without that caffeination. Another option in my younger days, when I didn't have a career, I didn't have to get to the hospital in the morning, was to work out right after Taraweeh. This is popular amongst a lot of the younger people. You've ate your iftar, you've got a Taraweeh, and now you go to the gym and you work out. You're well hydrated, you're caffeinated, you're able to work out just like it would be outside Ramadan. This is a popular option, especially for a lot of the gym bros. But if you have work or school the next day, probably not a good idea, because you're sacrificing sleep and harming your productivity during the day. Having less recovery is also going to negatively impact your muscle mass and ability to recover from that workout. And remember, muscle growth doesn't happen during the workout; it happens in the recovery period. A trick that some people will use period for working out, for someone who's a gym aficionado who likes to work out and doesn't have much family obligations, maybe they're away from family, is that they break their fast at Maghrib time. They pray Maghrib, they eat maybe some dates, protein shakes, something very light, and they go work out right away between Maghrib time and Taraweeh. So they get an hour and a half period to hit the gym really hard. They then, after Taraweeh prayer, have their post-workout meal, and then go to sleep. This is a nice period to work out if you have no family obligations, you're maybe away from family, and it works great because you're able to take something light, like some dates, to give you a pre-workout boost, maybe some kind of pre-workout shake or drink with some caffeine in it to get you through the workout. You're able to go to Taraweeh, you're not feeling over bloated and full, and then you're able to eat your food later in the day. Some people that are very dedicated and they really care about their workouts, they wake up early before suhoor and they go to the gym and they work out then. They have their suhoor as their post-workout meal, and then they go on with their day. Ideally, they should be engaging in some form of ibadah, some taraweeh, some tahajjud, salah in that pre-suhoor period. But, everybody has different goals and different things that work for them. The last time period that I've seen some people like to train in Ramadan is right after Fajr, which it sounds to me like a bad idea because you're going to be thirsty all day. But some people like to have their suhoor meal. They'll work out right after Fajr. They'll feel thirsty for 2-3 hours afterwards, and then the thirst ideally would go away. I don't recommend this unless it's somebody who's very serious, some kind of athlete that has, practice obligations, and they would adapt to that with time, but likely not a good time to train, neither after Fajr nor in the middle of the day, because in the middle of the day, you're far away from suhoor, you're far away from iftar, probably not the best time to work out. As far as how to work out during Ramadan, I would say you shouldn't try to reinvent the wheel. You should try to do what you've been doing throughout the year, maybe at a little bit less intensity. Maybe the volume is reduced a little bit, but depending on your goals, if you're a cardio-focused trainer, if you're a bodybuilder, powerlifter, those will vary. The key thing is to see what the ultimate goal for you is and tailor your training needs to that. Ideally, you should be working with some kind of trainer or somebody to tailor that for you. If you're just a weekend warrior and you're working out, just get some kind of fitness in, and it doesn't have to be too elaborate, and shouldn't structure your whole month around that. The next topic when it comes to fitness in Ramadan is weight loss. Everybody asks me, how can I lose weight in Ramadan? What I've noticed, and you probably will have noticed this as well, is that it's very few people that successfully lose weight during Ramadan and keep that weight off after, 1 week from Eid. The weight loss in Ramadan usually is just some water weight that people lose from the glycogen depletion, and they end up regaining that once they hydrate. Because of the poor dietary habits, the poor sleep habits, it's very hard to actually lose weight during Ramadan unless you're very intentional about it and very careful. I would go as far as saying it's probably a bad idea to make Ramadan about weight loss. Now, the fasting in Ramadan is not the same as intermittent fasting throughout the year. This is a fast to build up spiritual resiliency and to spiritually reflect. It's not about eating less calories to lose weight. You might be able to structure your day in a way that allows you to lose weight. That shouldn't be the main focus, and it might actually be counterintuitive to your goals. The reason that is that during Ramadan, you're usually encountering some kind of sleep deprivation. What they found in the research is that when you diet, they've taken two groups of people and put them on a diet, the same diet, and one group of people is sleep deprived and the other group is not. They both lose weight, but the group that's sleep deprived ends up losing more weight in the form of muscle mass. You don't want to be losing muscle mass. Muscle mass is important. When it comes to weight loss, you want to lose fat mass. When you lose muscle mass, you lose some of that important muscle that helps your basal metabolic rate, your metabolism stay high. Once you lose that muscle mass, you end up losing out on a lot of the beneficial adaptations when it comes to metabolic rate. So you don't want that happening, and you don't want to be losing weight in a sleep deprived state. So the majority of people in Ramadan are going after. Additionally, there's a lot of cumulative stress that happens in Ramadan. You have a very busy schedule during the day. You have a lot of family obligations. You're trying to get all your ibadat in. You don't want to be trying to lose weight in a state of high stress and cortisol release. It's probably not a good idea. Cortisol is that stress hormone, helps keep your blood sugar up, helps actually make you gain weight with long enough time. It's probably a bad time to diet during Ramadan. But if you absolutely insist that you need to lose some weight during Ramadan, what I would say is you should probably keep these things in mind. You probably want to aim to walk at least 8,000 steps during the day, especially towards the end of the fasting day. When you're in the end of the fasting day and you go do some walking, some light cardio, that'd be a very good time because you'll be tapping into those fat stores. And keep your protein intake up because that will keep your appetite at bay. That will help keep any muscle mass and help prevent any muscle loss. And then you'll want to really optimize that sleep and recovery using the tips in the sleep and recovery section of this video series or in the book itself. And I would say if you really want to, you're very serious about this, you work with a nutritionist or dietitian for optimal results. What I tell most people is that if you're interested in weight loss, you use Ramadan as a bridge on to a healthier lifestyle afterwards. Ramadan's a month where you can reevaluate your relationship with food. You can use it as a pause from all the constant eating, the 5 meals a day with a snack every 2-3 hours, and get in good habits and get in a better relationship with food. Be conscious of what kind of foods you're eating. Use that month as a training wheels. And then after Ramadan, as start your diet. So use Ramadan as a pre-diet, have healthier habits. And then after Ramadan, get into a diet and lose more weight, probably keeping some fasts throughout the year, whether the 6 days of Shawwal or Mondays and Thursdays or the 13th, 14th, 15th of each month to keep that good habit going, to get into more metabolically healthy habits. But overall, what I would say, the most important diet when it comes to Ramadan is not the diet of the food, it's the digital diet. I think just like we consume way too much food during the month of Ramadan, what we're consuming a lot is a lot of digital content. We're flooded with TikToks and Instagrams and memes, and everyone's messaging you on WhatsApp, and there's videos like these circulating around. What you want to do is get off of these apps, have a digital diet, digital detox from all these things, and stop overwhelming the brain. Allow yourself to recover and sleep, get those dopamine levels back up, and use Ramadan as an opportunity to make your whole life healthier, not just from a dietary perspective, but from a overall holistic sense. If you enjoyed what I talked about in this video series, check out the ebook linked below. In the ebook, I go into more in depth on these topics, and I go into the evidence-backed solutions to help you take your fitness to the next level in Ramadan. And if you are an athlete, I have a whole section dedicated to Muslim athletes and how they can get through Ramadan.